Hello all, this is Kevin. I am currently working as a data science and business analytics intern in the Spark Foundation. This is my video of task 2, prediction using unsupervised ML. The problem statement is, from the given iris dataset, predict the optimum number of clusters and represent it visually. That is, we are going to use k-means algorithm over here, and for that k-means algorithm, there will be a hyperparameter named n clusters. We need to find the n clusters from the dataset and process it manually. So I am read it again. This is our problem statement. We have to predict the optimum number of clusters and we have to represent it visually. The roadmap to solve our problem is, first we will be importing necessary files and packages, followed by pre-processing training data and then calculating inertia, and then plotting number of clusters versus inertia, and then predict or interpret optimum number of clusters using elbow method. Added, we also going to see how to calculate optimum number of clusters by means of manual or visual EDA method, and we are going to check if both are matches, that is the value we are calculated using the elbow method and the value we are got over the manual or visual EDA method. Let's jump into the code. First, necessary inputs. We will be importing our necessary packages. The main packages we are using in this process is pandas, sklearn and matplotlib. First of all, I will be importing the dataset which I have stored as a comma separated value, that is .csv, and I am reading the file via readcsv method in pandas. In the second step, I have splitted the data, that is I have splitted only the necessary data, that is we don't need ID and species, right? So I am splicing the required data and storing it into the train variable. Whenever we have imported the data set, the first step we have to do is do some exploratory data analysis to get some insight about our data set. We will be using info method and describe method for exploratory data analysis in this process. The info method returns general informations like number of columns, column names, whether it has any null value or not, and if it present, how many count of null values are there. Since I have 150 non-null values, I have 150 non-null values, and the data type is float for all the column, that is float for sepal length in centimeter, float for sepal width centimeter, and float for petal length centimeter, float for petal width centimeter. Then describe method. This describe method returns a mathematical approach over our data set. That means it returns the mean, standard deviation, minimum value along the column, 25% percentage quantile along the column, 50% quantile for the column, 75% quantile for the column, and maximum value that occurs in the column for each of the different columns in the data set. We will be using k-means algorithm. K-means algorithm uses Euclidean distance for calculating the distance between the data points. So it is necessary to pre-process the training data. We will be seeing how this pre-processing training data will improve the accuracy by the end of this video. Pre-processing the training data. We will be pre-process the training data using the standard scalar function. This method generally scales the data. That is, uh, if if the uh, if the standard deviation is high and also the distance between the points are too high, we will be scaling the data to improve the accuracy. For that, I am using the standard scaler, and there are many scaling methods available in the sklearn. For here, I will be using the standard scalar method. I'm just initializing the standard scalar over here and store it in the scalar variable, and I'm passing the training data set to the scalar method and store the result into the scaled data. The resultant data is a type of array. So I need to convert into pandas data frame to do the appropriate calculations. So I am converting it into converting it into the data frame using the pandas.data frame method and store the result into the train. And you can see now the mathematical information of the scaled data. That is, you can compare this data versus this. Generally, pre-processing the training data results in the maximum standard deviation of 1 and maximum standard deviation of 1, and the mean value will generally be 0. Predicting optimum number of clusters. For predicting the optimum number of clusters, we will be using elbow method. The elbow method is a very popular technique, and the idea is to run k-means clustering for a range of clusters k, let's say from 1 to 10. And for each value, we are calculating the sum of squared distances from each point to its assigned centers. That is, when initializing the k-means, it automatically assigns some value to its centroid. This centroid value will be a random value, and when the data sets are inserted into the model and trained, the cluster centers are changed according to the data set. Our objective is to find the optimum number of clusters, right? So I will be getting around 1 to 10. I will be using the range from 1 to 10. After that, we should not use maximum number of clusters, since maximum number of clusters will result in overfitting. So we will be using generally 1 to 10, and finding the inertia for each of the cluster value. That is, what is the inertia when the cluster value is 1, what is the inertia when the cluster value is 2, and so on up to the range, that is 9. That is 10 is exclusive over here, and I'm plotting the resultant using the plot function in the matplotlib. You can see that you can see the curve over here. We have to choose the n clusters as the value which has the low inertia as well as low value of number of clusters. Also, we can get that by where the data inertia starts decreasing slowly. That is, we can see that here is a sharp decrease of inertia, here is a medium decrease of inertia, right? So we have to choose the value from that. We can see that 3 is 3 is the point where the inertia starts decreasing slowly, so we choose 3 over here. That's it. We have find the optimum number of clusters for our model. A good Always remember that a good clustering should have a tight clustering. That is, as I said earlier, it must have a low inertia. Also, we should choose cluster values as small as possible to improve the accuracy as well as to decrease the computational time required for the model. In the above plot, the elbow point occurs at 3. So choosing n clusters will equal to 3 will be ideal for this model. I have also written some verification method for our n clusters. Let's see. Let's plot to find the relationship between the features of our data set. We will be uh, plotting it versus each feature. That is, for example, if there are consider that there are 5 features, namely from 1 to 5, it will be plotting against 1 versus 1, 1 versus 2, 1 versus 3, 1 versus 4, 2 versus 1, 2 versus 2, 2 versus 3, 2 versus 4, and so on. This is the use of the pair plot, and with the help of the pair plot, we can extract more information from the data set. Among all those statistics, we can see that the model is clusters into three by default when we are plotting using the pair plot. That is, this model splits good enough in this plot. We can see that is petal length in centimeter versus petal width in centimeter. That is, when we are plotting values for the petal length versus the petal width, the model gets clustered into three. Here in the above pair plot, we can see that datasets are better suited for three clusters, especially using the petal length centimeter and petal width centimeter features. This again proves that the three clustering is ideal for this model. As I said earlier, we will be looking for a need for scaling in the end of this video. Here I will demonstrate the need for scaling. I have copied the dataset variable into the sample variable. Now I am extracting the desired data, that is I will be omitting the ID and species column. I am just extracting the necessary columns for the dataset. Here it will be a unscaled data. First of all, we will be seeing about the unscaled data, then we will be seeing about scaled data and comparing the results. First, unscaled data. As you see here, I have extracted the value and stored it in the unscaled data, and then by using of our model k-means, as we saw earlier that 3 will be a optimum value for the n clusters, and I'm storing the resulting value into the model, and using the fit to predict method, I am passing unscaled data and predicting the values of this unscaled data, and I have printed it unscaled data. As you can see, these numbers represents the cluster label. That is, one the values which are all of 1 are a separate cluster. The values which contain 0 are of separate clusters, and the value which contains 2 are separate clusters. These represents the cluster values. That is the cluster labels. This is more like the identity of the cluster. Pandas.dataFrame of unscaled yPredict.valueCounts. This means that we will be predicting how many values of 1, how many zeros are there, and how many 2s are there. We can see that there are around 62 zeros, 50 ones, 38 twos in our predicted model. But we can see that our dataset contains totally 150 values, right? And 50 of them are species 1, and 50 of them are species 2, and 50 of them are species 3. That is Setosa, versicolor, and virginica. That is, each species have 50 samples, right? But using unscaled model, this predicts the using unscaled model using unscaled data, our model predicts as 0 as Setosa are 62, one versicolor as 50, and virginica as 38. This is to showcase how the data is split into clusters. The original cluster is 50, 50, 50, right? But our unscaled data predicts it as 62, 50, and 38. Let's now jump into scaled data. Please keep in mind that this is the value for the unscaled data. Let's now check for what will be the value for scaled data. Using the standard scalar, I will be using this sklearn.preprocessing package. I am importing the standard scalar function, and I am storing the resultant in the scalar variable. And using the fit to transform method, I am passing the unscaled data and converting it into the scaled data. As I said earlier, the resultant of fit transform will always be an array. So to extract the values, we will be converting into the data frame using the data frame method. And I am setting the columns to petal length centimeter, sepal width centimeter, petal length centimeter, and petal width centimeter. This is the scaled data. And similarly, we are now again passing the scaled data to our model, and we are initializing a fresh model of n clusters equal to 3 and store it in the variable model, and by using the fit predict. But now keep in mind that we are passing the scaled data, and this is the value of predicted value of scaled data. This will again be an array. To convert into a data frame, I'm using pandas data frame method and passing the value scaled by predict as an argument. The value counts returns how many values of zeros, how many values of ones, how many values of twos. This again is nothing but the cluster labels, like 0 will be of a cluster, 1 will be of another cluster, 2 will be of another separate cluster. As we know that original data contains 50 samples for each species, right? That is 50 for Setosa, 50 for versicolor, and 50 for virginica, right? But when we are using the unscaled data, the model predicts it as 62, 50, and 38. Let's now see the accuracy of the scaled data. See that it has predicted that 53, 50, and 47. That is, this is not 100%, and always, and keep in mind that no model will give 100% accuracy. If it gives, the model will may fall into an overfitting problem. So now we are getting 53, 50, and 47, which is comparatively more accurate than the unscaled data. So scaling improves accuracy over here. Thus, from the plot, we can see that it is clustered into three clusters of three different species, right? We saw that these blue color dots represents Setosa, orange color represent versicolor, and green color represent virginica, right? This has splitted into three clusters of three different species. Thus, from the plot, we can see that it is clustered into three clusters of three different species. Also, using dataset.info, we saw that each species has 50 samples. This is nothing but, as I have documented what I have said over before. That is, we saw that each species has 50 samples. That is 50, 50, 50. Our model with unscaled data splitted the dataset into 62, 50, and 30. But when using scaled data, it clusters into 53, 40, 50, and 47. Thus, we can infer that scaling improves accuracy for this type of model. And model clusters. This is no need for this problem, but I have given this to give you an insight about the data set. As we already verified that number of clusters will be 3 will be suitable for this model, and again I'm initializing k-means and storing it in a model by using the fit predict method. I'm predicting the values, but now I'm using the scaled data. As we saw that scaling improves accuracy, so I am passing the scaled data to our model, and the cluster center returns the center value, that is the centroid values of each clusters. And here I am printing the centroid values. Here I will be plotting the this I will since it is a since it has four features, that is it will be a four-dimensional plot. uh, so it is difficult to interpret, right? So I am plotting it into a two-dimensional space. For that I am extracting the first two columns alone. Here you can see a visual representation of how the data is splitted and where are those clusters are located. You can see this red color represents the versicolor, blue color stars represent the sedosa, and the green color represents virginica. You can see that cluster centers are located around here. That is the X mark. I hope you can see right over here. This X mark represents the cluster centers for each of these clusters. So I hope this model clusters gives an overview of how the data is split into clusters. And up to this we come to the end of this video, and thanks for watching.